You know, every year, millions of us bring a tree into our homes to celebrate the holidays. But have you ever stopped to think about it? Behind that simple tradition, there's this fascinating story of history, farming, and a surprisingly tricky environmental debate. So today, we're going to unwrap the real story behind this iconic holiday symbol.
Right. This is the big one. The question a lot of us ask ourselves every year. Do you go for that amazing smelling real fir tree? Or do you grab the super convenient reusable artificial one? Now, you probably have a gut feeling about which one's better for the planet. But as we're about to find out, the answer is way more complicated than you might think.
So to really get a handle on the choice we make today, we got to go way back. I mean, long before it was ever a Christmas tree, the evergreen was this incredibly powerful symbol of life and hope in the middle of a cold, dark winter.
It's actually pretty amazing when you trace this symbol's journey. For ancient cultures, bringing evergreen branches inside was like a promise that, hey, the sun is going to come back and things will grow again. Eventually, that idea merged with Christian traditions, and boom, you get the decorated indoor tree we know from 16th century Germany. From there, the idea just spread like wildfire. And get this, by the late 1800s, people were so worried about candles setting real trees on fire that they invented the very first artificial trees.
Okay, so let's jump into the debate by looking at Team Real. What's the actual story of a natural Christmas tree? Well, it doesn't start in some wild, ancient forest. Nope, it starts on a farm.
And this is a super important point. These trees are a crop, just like pumpkins or corn. Farmers plant them specifically to be harvested for the holidays, so we're not talking about deforestation here. We're talking about agriculture. And it's not a quick process either. From a tiny little seedling, it takes anywhere from 6 to 12 years for a tree to get big enough for your living room. And for all those years, that growing tree is doing exactly what trees do best. It's pulling carbon dioxide out of the air, pumping out oxygen, and creating a home for birds and other wildlife. I love this slide because it shows the tree's journey as a circle. It starts from the soil, it does its job making our homes feel festive, and then, ideally, it goes right back to the earth through recycling programs that turn it into mulch or even create new habitats for fish in local lakes. It's a pretty cool cycle. All right, now let's switch gears and look at its modern competition, the artificial tree. A tree that's really all about convenience and lasting a long, long time. So the whole idea behind the artificial tree is that you can use it again and again and again. It's made from really durable stuff like PVC plastic and metal, all engineered to last for years, so you don't have to go out and buy a new tree every December. But here's the thing, its life cycle is totally different. It's linear, a straight line. The journey kicks off with fossil fuels to make the plastic. Then the manufacturing process uses a ton of energy. And once the tree is old and worn out, it's really hard to recycle. Most of them just end up in a landfill, where they'll sit for hundreds of years. So there we have it. Two completely different paths. One is circular and comes from a farm. The other is a straight line and comes from a factory. So how do they really compare when you put them side by side and look at their environmental impact? Now, at first glance, the choice seems like a no-brainer, right? You're comparing a natural, biodegradable product that can be recycled with a plastic, fossil fuel-based product that's probably going to end up as trash. But remember that key word for the artificial tree, reusable. That's where things get interesting. Okay, what's really fascinating here is when the environmental impact happens. For the real tree, the production phase is actually a good thing for the climate. It's soaking up CO2. Its biggest downside is transportation, especially if it's not grown locally. The artificial tree, on the other hand, has this massive carbon footprint right at the very beginning, from being made and shipped across the world. All of its environmental cost is front-loaded. And that brings us to the magic number. So how long do you have to reuse an artificial tree to make it the greener choice? Well, according to the research, you're looking at a minimum of 10 years. Some studies even push that number closer to 20 years for its carbon footprint to finally be smaller than buying a new, local, and properly recycled real tree every single year. So what this really boils down to is that there isn't one single right answer for everyone. It's a complicated decision, a trade-off. You're balancing the huge upfront environmental cost of an artificial tree against the smaller yearly impacts of a real one. And honestly, your own personal habits and values are what really tip the scale one way or the other. And what that means is the power to make the greenest choice, it's actually in your hands. It all depends on how you use and get rid of your tree.
Let's break that down. If you already have an artificial tree, the absolute most sustainable thing you can do is just keep using it for as long as possible.
Seriously, make it a family heirloom. And if you're on Team Real, try to get one from a local farm to cut down on those travel emissions, and then, this is crucial, make sure you recycle it properly when the holidays are over.
You know, the really cool thing is that this tradition keeps evolving. We're starting to see all these awesome new options pop up, like living, potted trees you can rent for a month and then give back or even plant in your own yard. There are organic tree farms that focus on biodiversity. All this innovation is helping us find new ways to make an old tradition even better.
So at the end of the day, that tree in your living room is more than just a decoration. It's a symbol. And you get to decide what it symbolizes. Is it about the natural cycle of growth and renewal? Or is it about endurance and a commitment to reuse? The greenest tree is the one you choose with thought and care. Thanks for checking out this explainer.